All right, Anissa and Alex, I think we're ready to go whenever you're ready.
Should we start off with some warm-up questions?
I think we can just dive right in.
All right. Well, hello everyone, and good morning and welcome
To the Coffee Hour and Service Slam.
for the second annual Civic Education and Engagement Leadership Summit. As you may know, this year's theme is Empowering Maryland Youth Through Service and Civic Engagement.
My name is Nisa, and I'm the middle school liaison to the coalition from the Maryland Association of Student Councils. I'm currently in 8th grade in Baltimore County.
I'm Alex, a junior coming from Crofton High School in Anne Arundel County. I'm currently part of our school's Service Leadership Team and Equity Council.
For the next half hour or so, you'll be hearing from various youth around our state about their takes on volunteering and service to their communities.
We hope this service slam will get you in the mood for the main events, and that you'll also gain more knowledge on topics concerning youth engagement and civic education.
And we want you to be inspired and motivated to either start, join, or continue current volunteering efforts in your community.
Thank you so much for being here, and without further ado, let's get started.
All right, our first speaker is Malik, who serves on the Anne Arundel County Public Schools Service Learning Leadership Team. Malik was unable to join us live this morning. However, she sent in a recording for us to share.
Sounds like we're having trouble hearing that, Anissa or Jeannie.
Guess what I forgot to do.
Let's try that one more time.
Yep.
Hello, my name is Malit Mesfin, and I'm a junior at Crofton High School. I'm here to talk about something that I'm really passionate about and a big part of, which is the Anne Arundel County Student Service Leadership Team. This team works to bring more awareness to students in Anne Arundel County about service, and also we do our own service projects to help our community. Some students in our team even help with a service portal, an Anne Arundel County portal where students can sign up for service opportunities quicker and in a faster way. As the project committee co-chair, I help to create many service projects in my community. Some of these projects are a winter clothing drive, which is where we collected winter clothing items throughout many libraries in the Anne Arundel County system, and we passed them around at Baltimore by giving them to various organizations, and also our self-care basket to healthcare workers to help them during this pandemic. I love being a part of this team because I can be with other high schoolers who love service as much as me. And I have so much fun doing service in my community while being with like-minded people at the same time.
Wow, isn't that amazing how much she's done for the service in Anne Arundel County? All right, our next speaker here is Iman. Iman has done a lot of things in service, in which we're now going to allow her to present to you guys.
Is Iman here yet? We may have to come back to her.
I don't think she's here yet, so
We can just circle back.
Circle back when she comes. Okay. Our next speaker is Alex. Take it away, Alex.
Thank you, Anissa. So I'm just going to give a quick story about persevering through challenges in service. This happened recently. I was forming our first ever blood drive because Crofton High is a new school, and I met with our service advisor. Her name is Miss Few. We planned this, spent a lot of research time on it, had conversation with Red Cross members, all of this stuff. And after about 2 months, we finally set up meetings with administration, and the request was initially denied. It was denied because of some conflicts and some misunderstandings, but instead of giving up, because of how important this project was to us, we continued to push for more meetings, and after around 2 more meetings, We got approval from our administration and finally from the county to go ahead with the blood drive. So now we're finally able to set up a blood drive in June 1st through Anne Arundel Medical Center. And that's going to be a massive benefit to not only students to get them engaged with service, but also with individuals who are in dire need of blood right now.
Wow, it's incredible how you've been able to help the community so much through just the one project.
Yeah, it was really a great challenge to do. Anyways, next up we have Zach here to tell us about his experience and interaction when taking part in multiple internships. Go ahead and take it away, Zach.
Oh, hi everyone. My name is Zach McGrath. I'm part of Youth Advisory Council here at MD CEC, and I'm really excited today to talk about my Eagle Scout project, which dealt with environmental sustainability. And I thought it was really cool because I took big topics I was learning in school and applied them really locally. So basically, I reached out to Kinder Farm Park, which is a local park in my community. I asked, hey, what can I do to help the park's environmental sustainability? And they said, we are having a lot of problems with invasive bird species. And they asked if I could coordinate making a big service project and build around 60 eastern bluebird boxes to help native species compete with invasive species. So what I did is I got a bunch of students who cared about environmentalism at my high school. We all got together, we researched the topic, and we found out the best way to build a bluebird box that would help the birds. And we built around 60 of them, and they're currently being used in Kinder Farm Park to great effect to help out local species. And we were really proud because we helped with such a big issue as environmental sustainability, and we did it in a really small, tangible way that's really helping out the environment in Anne Arundel County, where I'm from. So thank you.
As you can see, many participants here are youth activists who have made valuable contributions to their surrounding communities through unique ways.
And next up, we have Uchechi. Presenting via video, she'll be speaking about mental health needs of young people.
Good morning, everyone. So my name is Uchechi Umba, and my commitment to my service project started a couple months ago when I was at a leadership summit down in Baltimore, and Dr. Laura Sokola, who was the speaker, told us that the most important aspect as a leader is to make sure that you inspire other people. And I thought that this was very important because sometimes when people do service projects, they do it just for the outcome or just for the title. So when I created my own service project, I wanted to make sure that what I was doing was inspiring other people. So in December of 2021, I founded my own service project called Inspirere, and that is the Latin root word for inspire, and it means to breathe life or to blow life into someone else. So I decided to name it that because I wanted the root of my service project to be literally inspiring other people. And basically, I send letters of encouragement, books, mental health resources to youth in rehabilitation centers across in DC and in Maryland.
All right, thank you so much, Uchechi. Next up, we have Corinne. Corinne has some thoughts for us about running, not for office, although she might have some advice on that too. Corinne has some advice for us about planning a race.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Corinne McCrehan, and I had the honor and joy of serving as second vice president and treasurer for the Harford County Regional Association of Student Councils. A project that we partook in was a 5K, and it was virtual, so everyone could participate. And it was about a week long. You could run, walk, or bike. And then the SGAs that raised the most money had received prizes. That money then went to the charity that school chose. So this was a really great one because everyone could participate in it, whether they were in person or virtual. And also we were able to give SGAs the option to be more involved in their community through giving back.
Wow, that sounds great. Did you ever have any challenges you faced when doing that?
Yeah, so we did do this in 2020 when it was still, or sorry, yeah, 2020. So there was still a lot of concerns with COVID, and also when we were handing out prizes, making sure that we were able to safely do everything. But I definitely think it was worth it because now we have much more involved SGAs.
Yeah, I definitely know that COVID did mess up a few, or well, a lot of service ideas and projects, but that's incredible how you were able to persevere through that. So next up, we have our very own Anissa, and she's going to be presenting about her topic on diversity and equality.
Hi, everyone. So I'm going to be talking about my school's Students Against Violence Everywhere chapter, and also for my regional student government, the Baltimore County Student Council's Diversity and Equity Committee. So through my school's SAVE chapter, we create monthly presentations, and this is really to help the wider school community understand better the importance of diversity and equity within our school and also our surrounding community. So some of those presentations have been on microaggressions and cultural awareness. And then through the Diversity and Equity Committee I was a part of in my 7th grade year, we created and hosted our county's first ever Black History Summit, which was really amazing because we were able to also have students from around the county present maybe poems or works of art they had created surrounding the topic. So generally through my work and work with others, we're striving for a more inclusive and accepting environment. And also considering that my school is one of the few English speakers for other languages schools that offers that program, it's really important to our school. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. That sounds wonderful. I'm sure you've helped the community a lot through that. Next up, we have Ren. Ren's going to be presenting about LGBTQ activism.
Hi, I am the current president of my school's Sexuality and Gender Alliance Club. We work really hard to make our school environment, and our goal is to make all school environments a safer place for the queer community. We've done 3 fundraisers this year, and our most successful one was for the Trans Day of Remembrance, to remember trans people who have been killed for being trans, and we also extended it to being about trans people who ended their life by suicide, because trans mental health is such a serious topic, and trans people are 40% of trans people have attempted to commit suicide at least once in their life, whereas it's 5% of the general population has attempted. So we were really serious about trying to raise awareness and raise money for Trans Lifeline, which is a suicide hotline run for and by trans and gender non-conforming people. And we created and sold pins with candles on them that everyone wore November 19th. I think the day was November 20th, but that was a Saturday. And we raised over $200 for Trans Lifeline, which was enough money to run the hotline for an hour.
Thank you so much for sharing, Ren. So now we're going to have Kinsley present. Take it away, Kinsley.
Hi, my name is Kinsley Potts. I'm in the 7th grade. I'm 13 years old, and my passion has led me to volunteer at 6 different counties. Sorry, you can see me, but I'm 13 years old. I'm in the 7th grade, and my passion has led me to volunteer at 6 different counties across the state of Maryland. I have a passion for art and animals.
They cannot see you, sweetie.
Oh, I did not know that. Oh, can you see me now?
Yep.
And I volunteer at 6 different places across the state of Maryland. One of my favorite places to volunteer is the Baltimore Humane Society, where I get to be the voice for the animals at the shelters and incorporate my personal platform, Art from the Heart, and different drives to make fun decorative boxes and pet blessing posters for the pet blessings. I also volunteer at First Roots Farms, where their motto is to grow food, give food, and serve others, which is really important to me. And I want to thank Miss Jen because I started volunteering there when I was 10 years old, and I couldn't volunteer anywhere else because I was 10. So I wanted to thank her for letting me be able to volunteer even at a young age. I also wanted to tie in the why of Catonsville because I'm a team leader there. And as a team leader, we do different service projects. And after this, actually, I'm going to be going to Healthy Kids Day, where we invite members of the community to come out and teach the families about how staying healthy is very important. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kinsley. If you didn't know, Kinsley is our special guest from the Maryland Youth Service Awards honorees. So next up we have McLeet. However, she wasn't able to join us yet. So after that, we have Roa, who's the student member of the board elect in Baltimore County. Go ahead, Roa.
Anissa, I think we do have a Advika here. If she's not in the script, I apologize for missing that.
Hi, sorry, I'm here. My name is Advika. I'm from Montgomery County. I'll be talking a bit about some environmental efforts that I've been doing for the past 2 years. So my friend and I founded an organization called Compostology, and we work to eliminate food waste from public schools. And to do that, we put separate green bins in the cafeterias, and we train the students to dispose of their food waste separately from trash and recycling. And then we implement different environmental education to really capitalize on that program's potential to teach the whole community about eliminating their food waste and just developing green habits. And to do that, we got a grant from the World Wildlife Fund, as well as different other grants to fund the program. And we co-authored a bill in the Maryland General Assembly that is now going to give $250,000 each year for 5 years as a grant program for schools to start more programs. And so if you guys are interested, and if you know schools that are interested, now you guys can apply to that grant to receive funds to start programs like these and be the student leaders that are leading these programs. Thank you.
Wow, that sounds great. How did you go about starting that club?
In 2018, in 7th grade, we started like a single program for a science competition. And then after that, during the virtual year, we just kind of reached out to different people in the community to try to get support for starting more programs.
No way, that's incredible.
Thank you.
All right, so next up we have Roa, a student member of the board elect in Baltimore County. Go ahead.
Sorry, muted myself. Hey guys, so happy Saturday, good morning. My name is Roa Hassan, as introduced. I was recently elected to be the 42nd BCPS student member of the Board of Education, which is a little bit surreal, a little bit like a dream come true, and I'm happy to talk about that, but I actually want to talk to you guys a little bit about my activism before that and how I sort of got to that position. So in I think it was 10th grade in 2020, after the wave of Black Lives Matter protests had sort of died down a little bit in October. I decided to organize my own youth-led Black Lives Matter rally as a person of color who went to a predominantly white middle school. I saw the disparities in racial education. I saw that racism was prevalent in our own backyards. So I wanted to make sure that we were continuing this conversation, that it wasn't just a first wave thing and then we sort of brush it aside. So I wanted to keep the conversation running, and I wanted to keep it youth focused because we have so much power and we have, like, strength in our voices. So I wanted to make sure that we were continuing that conversation. So I organized in that year, and then I organized again next year, but right in between that, I actually founded a youth advocacy organization called Mike Up Maryland, where basically what we do is educate young people on how to organize themselves, how to find their passion and hone it in and create their own actionable thing. It's sort of like how you guys do all of these amazing things. I want to make sure that all of our young people are able to do that too. All of our young people know how to do that and have the resources available to them, because I know when I was organizing, I had no idea what I was doing. So that's sort of how, Mike Up started. And then I organized another local Black Lives Matter rally in 2021 in December. And right after that, like the next, 2 months later, I ended up running to be the BCPS student member of the board elect, and we had young people show up in record numbers. 13,000 students voted, which was crazy because the year before we only had 5,000. And seeing that youth power, seeing that, young people turning out, that is always what is like the one thing that I take away from that election, from that process, because I think it just speaks to our power and speaks to how involved we're becoming. And I think that should always be the takeaway with anything that we do as young people, is making sure we're getting more young people involved. So thank you guys so much for having me, but that's what I got.
Well, congratulations, because 13,000 is an incredible turnout. What are your plans from here? Do you plan to continue holding rallies for this, or do you have anything else in mind?
Oh, good question. So I want to make sure that I'm shifting to educating more young people with Mike Up, just because we do have some rallies coming up in the summer in coordination with March for Our Lives. But I think other than that, it's just being able to focus on my term and getting real systemic change, pushing for young people on the Board of Education.
That's incredible. And I'm going to pass the mic over to Anissa now for the closing remarks.
So as we close the coffee hour portion of the summit, we'd love for you to participate in this closing word cloud that we have for you. So if you would just click on the link that I just put in the chat, and we'd love for you to write one word or maybe a phrase for what you're most looking forward to in the main summit. And as you can see, we're presenting that word cloud on the screen. So then as more responses come in, we'll all be able to see.
And Jeannie, you'll just have to refresh the page for them to load in.
I think we set it up so you can share your answers more than once if you have several things to say. So what are you looking forward to today? How are you feeling this morning? I want to thank Anissa and Alex for taking ownership of this. They put together the script and I helped them coordinate with everyone through email, but they really decided together, the Youth Advisory Council decided together the format for what we would do this morning. And we're really happy to have so many of our own members and some potential members with Roa and Kinsley here today. And so thank you, Alex and Zach and Anissa and Ren and everyone who's been participating. And thanks to Quinn, my partner in crime, as we've been doing this. I'll refresh again. Any last minute thoughts for our answer garden? What are you looking forward to today? What have you taken away from our Youth Advisory Council Service Slam? And I think it is about time for us to go back into the main room and get ready for the next section, which is our morning plenary. I'll refresh one more time, and then Quinn, if you could help us get back to the main room. We are all excited. Everybody have a round of applause for our wonderful kids. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Are on circulation right now. We can we wanted to let you know that if you would like to change your name, we've got a way to do that, and we can maybe slow down that slide and explain that. We've also got slides that can help if you need a little help knowing how to mute or unmute yourself. We can show you how to do that as well. We'll be getting started in about 2 minutes. Oh, look, I'm seeing people who I know came from the Service Slam. How did it go?
It was amazing. We got a lot of participants and were able to share a bunch of stories about how youth were engaged with service.
Well, that's awesome, Alex. Thank you for helping to lead it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, I'm going to send another note to the breakouts just to close it, but oh, maybe it's already, no, it's not closed yet. I'm going to send another little note. Hmm. Joe, I'm suddenly not seeing my button to close the breakout rooms. Anybody else see it?
I think it automatically closed. Alex, were you voluntarily moved or involuntarily moved?
I was voluntarily moved.
So our breakout room with the Service Slam finished up just a minute ago. So I believe Quinn closed the breakout rooms and now everybody's back in the main room.
All right. Hello, hello, and welcome, welcome. They're excited to see you today. We are going to start in 1 minute. Hi, Marcy. Hi, Samelia. Hi, Betsy. All right, Anne Arundel County is in the house, man. Hello, everyone. Welcome. it is 9:30 on my brand new watch. And I think we are going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to pass the mic, so to speak, over to Sam, and we'll have Jeannie, if you're ready, we can start showing some welcome slides.
I think we're ready. Are you ready, Sam?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. I'm so excited to, bring the annual Leadership Summit of the Maryland Civic Education Coalition to order. I'm Sam Novi. I'm chair of the Maryland Civic Education Coalition Steering Committee. I'm based right here in Baltimore, Maryland. And I wanted to share a little bit about the coalition, just because we know we got a lot of new folks here this morning. So, our mission with the Maryland Civic Education Coalition, we're convening students, educators, scholars, community partners, and working together to ensure that all Maryland students have access to meaningful hands-on civic education and service learning opportunities, right? And, we launched this coalition last year at this very same summit, at the first annual Maryland Civic Education Coalition Summit in 2021, because we wanted to create a space for all of these partners, right? To co-create a vision for civic education in Maryland and advocate to make that real. And so since that summit, since we all came together, since all over, several hundred of us came together in February 2021, we have had some incredible growth in this coalition. So we now have more than 100 coalition members. So just think about that, 100 organizations all across the state, all 24 counties that have been coming together to work, to figure out what's going on in different schools across the state. What are the challenges people are facing, and how do we build a vision for how to make civic education opportunities available to everyone? And how do we then work with our policymakers in our school districts and in the county government and state government and federal government even, to make that vision real? So today we're going to talk about a lot of those pressing issues and the challenges facing civic educators and students in Maryland. And so I hope that all of you, as you're going to the different sessions and hearing different folks' experiences, first, you'll share your experiences and ideas, from the heart. This is a space for you to think about what's happening in your community and share that out so others can learn from it. And then also listen to others, hear what's happening in different communities, see how that might spark ideas for you. And together we're going to have a really rich conversation today that I hope will help us all set an agenda for how we work together over the next year to really advance this vision for providing all Maryland students with access to meaningful, hands-on, comprehensive civic education and service learning. So before we get started, though, there's so many folks I want to just thank real quick before we do this. And actually, Jean, do you mind stopping the share for just a second? Because I want to get folks thank you. So if you have your snaps, I know a lot of folks have their you have your snaps card, your thank you card. I want to thank some folks. So first I want to thank our Maryland Civic Education Coalition Steering Committee, Eve Case, Lena Scott, Nathan Dietz, Andrew Wilkes, Shannon Pugh, and Julie Silverbrook. Thank you so much for all your work bringing this coalition together. If you want to wave your cards for them, that'd be great. Jeannie Massey, thank you so much for all your work organizing this summit. And then I want to thank some of our partners who have been just critical supporters of this effort. So Civex Now Coalition doing incredible work, helping coalitions like this get started all across the country. The University of Maryland College of Education, MyLaw, which has been heroic as our first fiscal sponsor. Thank you, MyLaw. The Governor's Office of Service and Volunteerism, which you're going to be hearing so much more from later today, and Youth Service America. So thank you so much for our partners. Everybody showed them some appreciation. And with that, I want to pass it over to the extraordinary Dr. Nancy Shapiro. She is the Associate Vice Chancellor of Academic Affairs and Special Assistant to the Chancellor for P20 Education for the University System of Maryland, and just an incredible person and leader in our state. So take it away, Dr. Shapiro.
Thank you, Sam. And thank you, Lena. Thank you, the entire group, the steering committee that put this together. What an incredible event to envision the event, to organize the event, to send all those fantastic reminders. It was awesome. So thank you. I also want to welcome all the participants who are here today, and thank you all for stepping up to this civic leadership opportunity, the fact that you're the civic leaders in your communities, in your schools, on your campuses, that's really something to celebrate. So thank you all. I'd actually like to start with a little story. I grew up in Wilmington, Delaware, at a time when the schools were still segregated, de facto segregated because of where you lived. In my high school, in the 60s, we had after-school clubs, and my best friend and I liked to dance. So we decided to start a dance club and bring ballet classes to the inner city in Wilmington. That was a little bit far away from my suburb. Little did we know, we were biting off much more than we imagined. We first started by knocking on doors of dance studios around the city and making phone calls and asking for donations of new ballet slippers and new leotards and new tights. And we got all these donations. And then we took a bus downtown and went to the community center and explained what we wanted to do. And the director sort of rolled his eyes, but he agreed to give us a room to teach ballet to elementary school kids. So then we went to the neighborhood school that was down the block and put up some posters and talked to the principal and told them we were starting a ballet class at the community center. And then we waited. And I remember that the first day we got 4 little girls who came into the class. And me and my friend, whose name was also Nancy, gave them their ballet slippers and their leotards and their tights. And they were thrilled, especially with the ballet, those little pink ballet slippers that were wrapped up in tissue paper. And I remember we collected a lot of slippers because we weren't sure what sizes we needed. So we started the class with 4 children and we taught ballet for 30 minutes. And then the next week we came back and there were 12 little girls. So we had a whole class. And at the end of a few months, we put on a show for the community and the parents. We didn't know what we had done. We just wanted to have a ballet club. But we did something more. We built a bridge where there wasn't one before, and it changed us all. We didn't know what we couldn't do. We just did something, and we created a community where there wasn't one before. We didn't plan to do anything more than teach ballet and have fun, but the experience changed us, and it changed those girls, and it changed that community center, and it changed our school. I tell this story because strengthening democracy depends on building community. And I was in the slam room this morning, and I heard all these fantastic stories of how individuals are making a little change, or sometimes a big change, but they're building community. Someone has to take the first step. To believe that doing something together is the first step in building something together. Somebody has to have an idea and invite others in. And then someone has to do the hard work of putting the pieces together and giving everybody a stake in the outcome. So now I want to fast forward to describe how we arrived at our civic engagement work at the University System of Maryland and why I believe it's so important. The USM, some of you might not know this, is the umbrella organization over all 12 of the public universities in the state of Maryland. It includes the University of Maryland, but it also includes Towson and Bowie State and UMBC and Frostburg and UMES and Coppin. 12 universities public universities in the state are all under the umbrella of the University System of Maryland, which means that where I work, I have a lot of leverage over the higher education community by bringing people together. And I love the word that Sam used, to sort of co-create a community. That's what I do with the universities in the system. So after the 2016 election, I connected with a number of my friends and colleagues across the system, and we agreed that democracy needed to be strengthened, that something was being challenged. And if we didn't do it, who would? So in early 2017, we invited Senator Barbara Mikulski as a keynote speaker to a system-wide discussion of civic education, civic engagement, and civic responsibility. And the title was Foundations of a Democratic Society. That convening of several hundred people led to a regents work group. The regents are our governing board on civic education. And that work group ended up giving some recommendations to the regents and the system. And we've been pursuing those recommendations ever since 2017. This system, the statewide convening that set the sort of address the foundations of a democratic society turned out to be prescient. Since then, we've seen violent and malicious attacks on the foundations of our government, most dramatically enacted on January 6th at the insurrection at the Capitol, and the continuing big lie that attempts to invalidate legitimate elections. At this moment in time, I believe there's nothing more important than understanding and attending to our shared civic responsibility to protect and preserve our democracy. And I would argue that the greatest contribution to preserving our democracy is preparing the next generation of leaders, of which everybody in this room is one, because you will create the future that you're going to live in. And we in higher education have the responsibility to prepare you to lead. The USM is committed to educating the next generation of leaders, and I want to describe two ways that we're doing that. I mentioned that we have this Civic Education Leadership Committee that got started after the summit that we had, with a focus on getting students registered to vote. Well, in the 2020 election, they organized campuses and turned out a record-breaking 80% of USM students who registered and voted in the 2020 election, which is up from 71% in 2016. They are on the job now, preparing for the 2022 midterm elections, signing up campus volunteers, working on websites, social media outreach, and working with campus faculty to support civil discourse on campuses. The other strand of work I wanted to mention was the Langenberg Legacy Fellows. My mentor, Don Langenberg, Chancellor Emeritus of the USM, who passed away in 2019, left a legacy fund to support civic activity across the system. This year, we've awarded the first 12 Langenberg Legacy Fellowships, which fund student engagement across a wide variety of projects. I'm going to give you 3 quick examples. Vivian Abisicki from University of Maryland will host Maryland election voting workshops on campus, 4 in person and 4 online. At Salisbury, Dylan Lakonich is going to host a day of action focusing on environmental justice and activism. And at Bowie, Brittany Gilroy will develop a peer support program for students impacted by gun violence. These are just 3 of the 12 that we awarded. We are excited about supporting the civic education and engagement work of these students, and I can't wait to share the results of their projects with you next year when I come back next year. The Langenberg Legacy Fellowships are endowed in perpetuity. So that means we're going to be able to do this every year from now on. As I conclude, I want to remind you that I am a child of the 60s, and our call to action was voiced by an activist named Eldridge Cleaver. Some of you may have heard this before. Eldridge Cleaver said, "If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem." We are strengthening democracy every time our students engage in communities. The meeting today is a great example of strengthening democracy by developing and protecting our community. And I congratulate all of you and thanking you again for stepping up to this work. And now I would like to turn the mic over to an extraordinary civic leader in her own right, Dr. Marcy Taylor Thoma, Executive Director of the Maryland Council for Civic and History Education. Thank you all.
Well, good morning, everyone. And it's so wonderful to be followed by Dr. Nancy Shapiro. I've done a lot of work with her at the Maryland State Department of Education when I had many years of, over 20 years of working with her. So I am thrilled that our paths are cross again. So it's nice to see my other favorite Nancy in the world. So I will say I'm going to follow her lead and make my introduction to Senator Van Hollen a personal one, because you can all Google him and you all know who Senator Van Hollen is. But I first became aware of him because he sponsored the Maryland Geography Education Bill for $1 million. I was at the State Department and I got a call from his office saying, is this a good idea? Would you like $1 million for geography education? At the time, as a reminder, he served in the Maryland General Assembly from 1995 to 2003. And who doesn't want $1 million when you're working at the Maryland State Department of Education and funds are very thin? And we were able to have a wonderful program for over 25 years with that foundational grant. The next time I really got to interact with him, at this point, he was now, as a reminder, from 2003 to 2017, he was the 8th congressional delegate from Maryland. And I was reaching out to him with my colleague, Dr. Donna Phillips, who was a Robert Frost Middle School 8th grade teacher and lead in her School for Social Studies. And we're inviting the congressman to judge a We the People competition, an 8th grade We the People competition. And he was thrilled to come and speak to 8th grade students about the Constitution. And at first, Don and I thought, well, I'm sure he doesn't realize it's students, but oh no, he showed up. One comment he made to me was, I have students this age. I live with these 8th graders. I have them in my own family. I get young people, but so willing to just walk in and work with the kids. And he did this for years and years. So we always knew we could reach out to him for civic education initiatives. He was elected to the Senate in 2016 and has been really I'll say a fighter for social studies and civic education, and even multicultural initiatives all through the state of Maryland and across the nation. One other short story is in 2008, I reached out to him and said, well, there's a group of Russian students and their teachers, and they're visiting in several families in Montgomery County. And the teacher would like to have a meeting with your office, you, and the students and teachers. He said, fine, here's the appointed time. Well, the teacher was running late and the teacher was taking the metro in. And finally, the teacher had his cell phone number, called him up, they met in the metro station. So the beautiful thing about it is at the end of the 10 days, I asked the Russian students and their teacher, what was their most memorable point or memory of being in Montgomery County in Washington, D.C. And they said that Americans, politicians are approachable. They ride public transportation and you can talk to them like real people. So what an interesting memory. So with that, I'd like to, Senator Van Hollen couldn't be with us in person today, but here's his video.
Hi, I'm Chris Van Hollen, and I'm proud to represent our great state of Maryland in the United States Senate. And I'm especially pleased to be joining all of you for this year's Maryland Civic Education and Engagement Leadership Summit. I want to recognize the Maryland Civic Education Coalition, the Governor's Office on Service and Volunteerism, and the University of Maryland College of Education for organizing this summit, for bringing us together to discuss how we can better empower Maryland youth through service and civic engagement. Strong civic education is the lifeblood of an informed citizenry, and an informed citizenry is in turn the lifeblood of a healthy democracy. In a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, all of us, all the people, have a duty to educate ourselves on how our democracy works and to educate others as well. Democracy is not a spectator sport. All of us need to know the rules of the game and get out on the playing field. Rising to meet that call takes real effort and commitment, but that should not deter us. As Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall once said, it is hard work being well informed, but it is essential work for the citizens of a democracy. We must do everything in our power to carry out that essential work. And that starts by getting younger Americans involved in civic life from every possible angle, including efforts inside the classroom through a strong civics curriculum and efforts out in the community through service learning opportunities, as well as initiatives that help bridge the gap between education and employment through national service programs. I'm working with colleagues in our nation's capital to address each of these priorities. As a member of the Senate Appropriations Committee, I'm working with colleagues to secure additional federal funding for civic education. More federal investment will help empower our teachers and community leaders to guide students toward new ways of making their voices heard in our democracy. I'm also calling on my Senate colleagues to include $250 million for a national service learning fund. That fund would deliver additional resources to states, localities, institutions of higher education, state service commissions, and nonprofits to help them build out service learning programs. Encouraging participation in national service initiatives is another important tool to help train the next generation of engaged citizens and public servants. I was proud to work with my colleagues to secure $1 billion for AmeriCorps programs within the American Rescue Plan. Those resources have gone out the door and are still flowing into our communities to help stop the spread of COVID-19, to support our seniors, to make service more accessible and inclusive, and much more. I'll continue voicing my strong support for robust annual funding that meets the needs of our national service programs, so more of our fellow citizens of all ages and all backgrounds can participate in writing the next chapter of our democracy. It's in that spirit of determination and optimism that I want to end where I began, by thanking the organizers of this summit for bringing us together. And I also want to commend the entire Civic Education and Engagement Leadership Summit family for your commitment to building bridges across party lines, engaging Maryland students, and strengthening our democracy. You make our entire state very proud, and I look forward to continuing our work together to take bold action that will bolster civic education here in Maryland and across our country. Take care.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Senator Van Hollen. We are truly fortunate to have such a committed advocate of civic education, service learning, and democracy representing us in the Senate. I'm Eliza Newland Carney, and I run the Civic Circle, which advances civic learning for young students through music and the arts. I'm a proud founding member of this coalition, and I'm extremely excited about this summit because I passionately believe that service learning is the superpower that opens the door to civic learning and engagement. I'm here to introduce a virtual performance of the student-written song, We'll Get There Soon. This song involved both civic learning and service learning. Having learned about the 7 steps to democracy in our program, Civic Circle students at Arcola Elementary School, in a wonderful community life program run by Making Home Possible, wrote this song with teaching artist Leah Morris about their dreams for a better world. It was the height of the pandemic, and the choreography and simplified sign language that we used to teach songs enabled the students to sing along together on Zoom, though their voices were recorded separately. But that wasn't the end of the learning. We then shared this virtual choir video performance with senior citizens at Ingleside King Farm, helping the students understand that even amid their own pandemic struggles, they could lift up others who were suffering in a different way. And now we'll get there soon.
We'll get there soon to be a better future. We'll get there soon, all of us together, to a world full of peace and hope and trust. We not just might, we must.
In the world there's too much violence. We can't just sit in silence with our families divided and our country's undecided. We all make mistakes. There's There's no time to waste, can't they see? We all are one. We'll get there soon to be a better future. We'll get there soon, all of us together, to a world full of peace and hope and trust. We not just might, we must. People are hungry, let us feed them. Like the sun, your light is needed for the seeds that we are growing. Bring your peace, your love, your hope, and heal the world. Start at home. We can't do this alone, it's plain to see. We all are one. We'll get there soon to be a better future. We'll get there soon, all of us together, to a world full of peace and hope and trust. We not just might, we must.
So ladies and gentlemen, after that wonderful, moving, glorious video of little kids that always makes you feel like there's hope when you see the smiles on kids' faces, I'd like to share with you, I'm Jeannie Massey. I'm a board member of the League of Women Voters of Maryland. I am personally a classroom teacher, and I started my career in Marcy's capable hands. She came out to Hagerstown and did a governor's academy to help me prepare students for the government high school assessment, which is transitioning to the MCAP exam, I believe, going forward. And with her help and Evie Williams, our social studies coordinator here in Hagerstown and Washington County Public Schools, I had a great foundation. And I left the classroom partly because of the pandemic, partly because of private school challenges. And I had 3 kids at home during the pandemic, and I was looking for the right outlets. I joined the League of Women Voters, and Evie Williams from Washington County Public Schools, immediately said, the League of Women Voters has this wonderful program that's starting. We're going to send you to Harvard. Hard to argue. So I went to Harvard, where Professor Moss was initiating the Case Studies Institute, which trains teachers to use case studies in American democracy, much like the Harvard Business School was using in its courses for MBA students. And this gave me a window into what the League of Women Voters and what the rest of the world was really doing about civic education. You know, you're here today because you value civic education and engagement. We believe it's the foundations of a healthy democracy. And I think in the past several years, we've really seen how much more vocal we need to be about those values that we hold in common. Going back to the roots, the very beginnings of democracy, you know, we credit the ancient Greeks in that idea of direct democracy. They invented that system at the agora, where citizens would gather, they'd have a chance to debate and decide together the decisions that would affect their community. We know it was imperfect, that slaves and women weren't able to participate, and they themselves recognized its imperfections, because in that process of debate, as much as they valued the art of speaking, the art of rhetoric, it was possible for demagogues to take over a space. The ancient Greeks were clever, though. They invented theater, and now today we get to go tour their spaces, the amphitheaters, where they did theater in the round. And that concept of a circle has really lived through the ages. The Globe Theater attempted to do a theater in the round. Innovators through the ages continue it. And in some of the best classrooms, you see Socratic seminars and Harkness tables where students are really brought together in a conversation. And that's what we want to do today. We know that the loudest voice in the room is not always right, but social media makes it possible for loud voices to be amplified and become even louder. So we want to return to that value of valuing each other, of having conversations in the round. So we've tried to design roundtable conversation sessions today that lift up voices. So we'll begin our conversations in large groups with a small panel discussing a topic. These groups have been brought together to talk about a specific topic where they have some expertise. And then they'll invite conversation and they'll ask you to go into breakout rooms where you can collaborate with others, network, ask questions, share your own stories. So how do we get to these? And just a reminder, we're all here, I believe, for the good of our community, but speaking from our own experience, being respectful, keeping an open mind, being aware of how much space we take up, and centering and celebrating youth voice is what we're here for today. So we encourage you to remember, if you get upset about something, remember that as we think through these things, we're not always going to agree, but don't let the demagogue in all of us take over. Listen carefully, try to understand where we're coming from. So how do we find our roundtable conversations? On our website, which you have obviously already gotten to today or through the email that you received, you can go to the website and at mdcivics.org/summit-login, you can log into that webpage and our password is the same, #empowering Maryland youth, which you can also use on social media to lift up our voices and help promote these values that we share in common. So once at mdcivics.org/summit-login, you enter that #empowering-MD-youth, and you'll see down towards the middle, these 4 cards for Roundtable 1. Our topics first this morning are Start Young, Why Successful Community Engagement Starts in the Youngest Years, Social Studies Students in the Spotlight, Student Input on Social Studies in Maryland, When in Doubt, Serve, Exploring Service as a Pathway to Your Future, and Student Service Learning 101 and Beyond. And on each of these cards, you'll find 2 things at the bottom. You'll find a link to the moderator and participant biographies. Those will come up as a PDF. And you'll see a button that says Join Start Young. And if you go to that button, you'll log out of this Zoom, go to the web page, and click on Join Start Young or Students in the Spotlight or When in Doubt Serve or Service Learning 101, and you'll join a new Zoom room where you'll be treated to our breakout roundtable conversations today. So again, that website is mdcivics.org. It's under the Summit tab on the top right. You can click Summit-login, and then the password is #empowering Maryland Youth, MD lowercase d youth. So we hope you'll join our conversations. And on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Maryland, I'm so glad you're all here today. Thank you very much. And some of our hosts will be in here this morning, staying in this Zoom room. So if you're having any trouble, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. And Julie and Quinn and I will attempt to help you, and Joe will attempt to help you get where you need to go. Yes, you may switch meetings now. As I say to my students, ready, set, go.
Hi, Jeannie. If we're hosting a panel, are we waiting till 10:15 to start?
We are a little early, so I would wait a little bit, perhaps have some informal conversation in the room and get to know everybody.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Good luck and have fun, Rich. And everybody else who's doing a panel. Would anyone like us to repeat the instructions here for what to do next? Yeah, I'm seeing a couple of nods. All right, Jeannie, would you mind taking us back to that slide where it has
Absolutely.
the website?
Absolutely. Our website is mdcivics.org. At the top of that website, you'll see our 2022 Summit tab. Under that tab is the Summit login link, or in the URL box, you can type in www.mdcivics.org/summit login with a dash in between. And the password for the website is #EmpoweringMDYouth.
We realize this is not intuitive for everybody. And so we want to try to be as clear as we can. If you have questions, feel free to unmute yourself and just go ahead and ask us. A couple of people have just joined us, and we're happy that you're here. We are moving into our first breakout, not breakout, roundtables. Those are like workshops where if you need a little bit of help for finding one of the spaces that you're interested in, maybe Jeannie, could you show the graphic again that shows the buttons? Yeah, so when you go to our website, you're going to see this for the first roundtables. And those black buttons are the buttons you will click in order to join the conversation you're interested in.
Another pathway you could use if you're having trouble with the website, the email that you used to log in this morning, the email that you received, also has links to all 4 of the breakout rooms for breakout session 1.
It's got the same buttons.
Thank you for that. I will have to try that because I'm not getting through with it takes me to the page for adding my password, but the password is not being accepted. So I'll try the second option. Thank you.
It is case sensitive if perhaps it's hard to see it because I don't think it comes up so that you can see it.
No. All right. Thank you.
I can put it in the chat as well.
Okay. Appreciate it.
And you'll be using that hashtag in the front. That's important to include in your password.
Question.
Yes.
I went to the mdcivics.org/summit. What do I do after that?
You should, if you're on the right page, you should see the Summit login option. And from the Summit login option, it should ask you for a password. So if you're at the tab up top, there's a drop-down list. And you click on Summit login under the drop-down list under Summit 2022.
Okay,
and
let
then
me
you'll
try again.
Paris, are you a note taker? Okay. I just want to make sure that we, everybody in this space is happy, Jeannie and I are happy to chat with you, but I think the real action is what's happening in these round tables And so we want to encourage you to move over to one of the other spaces. And a couple people are having some trouble, so I don't want to agitate you more. But
Yes. So,
Um,
so I actually joined, but it's saying please wait. The meeting host will let you in soon. I
Okay.
joined the start round one, and so I was
Okay.
asking, is that what I'm supposed to be doing? Is everybody just
Yes.
waiting?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
I do have a question for clarification. Round one constitutes the 4 breakout rooms, and then there's another round of activities.
Yes.
Thank you. All right.
So
What
you'll
is
need
the
to,
password again?
it is hashtag empowering MD youth.
Hashtag.
Capital E, empowering, capital M.
Hold on. ENPOWER. Empowerment.
Empowering.
Empowering, ING, MD,
Uh-huh.
capital M, lowercase d,
Uh-huh.
youth, capital YOUTH.
Tell me, please try again.
Are you able to access the chat in our Zoom room? It might be easiest to cut and paste.
Okay, so go to the chat.
And in the chat is our password, hashtag empowering MD youth. And you'll
Okay.
use that on the MD Civics website to get to the Zoom room.
Thank you so much.
And once you're in our website, you'll want to log out of this Zoom room. So you'll leave this Zoom room and you'll enter a new Zoom room.
Okay. Right, let me copy.
Is there anyone else that we can help? Dr. Desmond, Francis? Kate Stevenson, are you with us?
Yeah, if you could move me, I'm still on my phone. Can't do that.
Okay. Well, if you're on your phone, we can't actually move you because we're not moving anyone to a breakout room. You're actually
okay.
leaving this call and entering a new call.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. I'll have to do that later.
Sorry to make things complicated.
No problem.
We hope you'll find us again.
Yep, thanks. Bye.
Bye.
I used my email and I'm thinking that it's taking me to a room, but it says I'm waiting for the host to permit me in. So I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple of texts that are saying the same thing. Let me just see if I can find out what's going on there. And maybe it's that they're opening it at 10:15 because that is the that is the exact start time. But let's see.
Dr. Desmond, which room are you trying to enter?
Why successful community engagement starts in the youngest years.
Is that Zach's room?